Hi, it's Mary here, and today we're going to explore a powerful idea that can change the way you attract women, especially as you get older. And you know what? It has nothing to do with money or looks. The truth is, two specific words activate something much deeper in the female brain, emotional connection points that most men don't even know exist. I'm going to tell you exactly what they are. I'm Mary Smith, host of Mindful Senior Living. For years, I've helped men and women navigate attraction and emotional connection in the second half of life. Stay with me until the end. Before we dive in, let me know in the comments where you're watching from, and if you find this helpful, hit that like button to join our community. If you're a man over 40 or 60 wondering, do I still have it? I want you to know, yes, but not for the reasons you've been told. It's about emotional leadership. I've studied thousands of interactions, first dates, long marriages, and post-divorce reentries. The men who attract the most aren't the loudest. They master direct emotional communication. Most men try to guess what she wants, but the men who stand out use two words that act like master keys to the female subconscious, creating what psychologists call positive emotional anchoring. When your communication signals safety and emotional presence, attraction naturally increases. Your presence becomes associated with feelings of security and desire. So let's go there. The first word is I want. It sounds simple, but listen to what happens when you say it with clarity and confidence. By saying I want, you are taking responsibility for your desires. You aren't asking for permission or hiding behind ambiguity. You are owning your intention. Women are deeply attracted to men who know what they want. It signals direction and internal stability, that you can make decisions without collapsing under pressure. Compare. I don't know. Maybe we could hang out sometime if you'd like. That communicates uncertainty, fear of rejection, and a transfer of responsibility. Now, scenario 2, I want to take you to dinner on Saturday. There's a place I think you'll love. Do you feel the difference? It carries masculine initiative. This isn't about dominance, it's about direction. Attachment theory shows emotional security is built when one partner demonstrates grounded leadership and clarity. When you say, I want with confidence, you activate sexual polarity, the energetic difference between masculine initiative and feminine receptivity. Many struggle because these roles are blurred. Remember, I want must be about desire, not demand. Like saying, I want to hear more about your story, or I want to take you somewhere special. Expressing, not forcing. Now let's move to the second word, where everything changes. I appreciate. This balances strength with sensitivity. If you only use I want, you risk appearing self-focused. Combine them. I want to see you again because I really appreciate the way you think. Now she feels seen, valued intellectually and emotionally, not just physically. Being seen is intoxicating. Most women are used to surface-level compliments. When you acknowledge her essence, it activates oxytocin, the bonding hormone. Studies in interpersonal neurobiology show that when someone feels accurately seen, the brain registers safety. You become associated with warmth and validation. But it must be authentic. Women sense incongruence instantly. Practice slowing down. Pause before you speak. Depth lives in the pause. My client David used this on a third date. He said, I want to see you again. I appreciate how easy it is to talk to you. It changed everything. Clarity is magnetic. Clarity is attractive. Appreciation is magnetic. Now, there's another critical layer to this. Timing. Join me in the next video to find out why. You don't walk around saying, I want and I appreciate every 5 minutes like a robot. That would feel mechanical. You use these phrases at emotional peaks, at the end of a good date, after she shares something vulnerable, when you're setting a plan, when you're expressing continued interest. These are anchor moments. The brain encodes memories most strongly at emotional highs and lows. If you insert clarity and appreciation at those peaks, you become part of a positive emotional memory. Let me give you a practical structure you can use. Step 1, express desire. Step 2, link it to appreciation. Step 3, pause. For example, I want to spend more time with you. I appreciate how grounded you make me feel. Then silence. Let it land. And here's a question for you. When was the last time you clearly expressed what you wanted in a relationship without apology? I want you to reflect on that. Because many men in midlife have spent decades suppressing desire, compromising, over-accommodating, avoiding conflict. And while compromise is important, chronic self-erasure kills attraction. Women are not attracted to self-erasure. They are attracted to grounded presence. Now, if you've ever felt like you're too late, like younger men have an advantage, let me gently challenge that belief. Emotional intelligence increases with age, if you cultivate it. A 60-year-old man who says, "I want you, I appreciate you," with emotional steadiness carries far more depth than a 30-year-old hiding behind bravado. Before we continue, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell. Every week on Mindful Senior Living, we explore the emotional skills that make the second half of life the most powerful chapter, not the fading one. Now let's talk about the mistake that destroys all of this, using these words manipulatively. If your goal is to hack her brain, she will feel it. Women are not responding to the words alone. They are responding to the emotional state behind them. If "I want" comes from scarcity, please validate me. It repels. If "I appreciate" comes from strategy, this will make her like me. It feels hollow. But if they come from grounded self-worth, they create resonance. So here's your final exercise. Tonight, stand in front of a mirror. Look yourself in the eyes and say, "I want." Pause. "I appreciate." Notice what comes up. Discomfort, power, embarrassment. The way you relate to your own desire and appreciation determines how effectively you express them to others. Because the truth is this: attraction is not about performance. It's about presence. When you can clearly state what you want and sincerely acknowledge what you value, you become unforgettable. And remember, you don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be flawless. You don't need to compete with anyone. You just need to be real. If this spoke to you, leave a comment and tell me, which of these two words feels harder for you to say, "I want" or "I appreciate"? I read your comments personally, and share this video with a friend who needs to hear it, because men don't get taught this, but they can learn. Now let's go deeper, because there's something even more powerful underneath "I want" and "I appreciate." And most men never realize this layer. When a woman hears "I want," her brain does something very specific. It scans for safety. Not physical safety alone, emotional safety. Is this man stable? Is he clear? Is he regulated? Is he grounded in himself? The female nervous system is incredibly sensitive to instability, especially as women get older. In your 20s, attraction might be more impulsive. In your 40s, 50s, and beyond, attraction becomes neurological. It becomes about peace. Let me say that again. As women mature, they are not looking for excitement alone. They are looking for emotional steadiness. So when you say, "I want to see you again," in a calm, grounded way, her nervous system relaxes. It says, "This man is not chaotic. He is not playing games. He is not uncertain." And that relaxation is the doorway to attraction. There's a concept in psychology called co-regulation. It means our nervous systems sync with each other. If you're anxious, she will feel anxious. If you're calm and centered, her body softens. Now think about this. Have you ever been around someone who made you feel immediately at ease? You didn't even know why. You just felt settled. That's nervous system leadership. And "I want," when delivered with certainty, signals internal alignment. But let's talk about the shadow side for a moment. Many men confuse passivity with kindness. They think being agreeable is attractive. They think stepping back is respectful. They think suppressing desire makes them safer. But here's the truth women often confess in my sessions: "I don't feel chosen." That sentence carries weight. When a man constantly says, "Whatever you prefer," "It's up to you," "I'm fine with anything," the woman slowly starts to feel unanchored. She feels like she's steering everything. And at first, she may not consciously notice it, but attraction begins to fade, because polarity requires direction. Now I want to share another story with you. A man named Robert, 62 years old, widowed after 30 years of marriage. He started dating again and felt completely lost. He said to me, "Mary, I don't want to be pushy. I don't want to scare anyone off." And I said, "Robert, what do you want?" He paused for almost 20 seconds. Then he said quietly, "I want companionship. I want laughter again. I want someone to travel with." He hadn't said those words out loud in years. That hesitation wasn't about women. It was about disconnection from his own desire. So we practiced. On his next date, instead of staying neutral, he said, "I want to take a short trip this fall. I'd enjoy planning something like that with someone special." The woman later told him that was the moment she saw him differently. He went from polite to compelling. Because desire is alive. and life is attractive. Now let's layer in appreciation. When you say, I appreciate, you're doing something very sophisticated emotionally. You're showing attunement. Attunement is the ability to accurately read and respond to another person's internal world. And here's something fascinating. Research in long-term relationship satisfaction consistently shows that feeling appreciated ranks higher than physical attraction in predicting happiness. Higher. Let that sink in. A woman who feels appreciated becomes warmer, more open, more affectionate. But appreciation must be specific. I appreciate you is good. I appreciate how patient you were with that waiter tonight is powerful. Specificity signals attention. Attention signals value. And value builds attachment. Now let's talk about a common mistake men make when they try to appreciate. They overdo it. Too many compliments too fast can feel like flattery, and flattery often feels like manipulation. Appreciation should feel earned and observed, not sprayed. Here's a practical rhythm. Observe, pause, reflect, express. For example, she tells you about how she handled a difficult situation with her daughter. Instead of immediately jumping in with advice, you say, I appreciate how calm you stayed in that situation. That shows strength. That's measured. That's grounded. That lands. And here's another psychological insight. Women bond through emotional recognition. Men often bond through shared activity. Women bond through being understood. So when you combine I want, direction, with I appreciate, recognition, you create both polarity and bonding. That combination is rare. Now let's go even deeper. There's something called emotional imprinting. It happens when a person associates you with a distinct emotional state. If every interaction with you feels vague and neutral, you become forgettable. But if interactions with you feel clear, intentional, and appreciative, you become memorable. Memorable leads to desire, and desire sustains connection. I want you to imagine something. You're at the end of a beautiful evening. The conversation flowed. There was laughter, maybe even a little vulnerability. Most men in that moment panic internally. They overthink, they freeze, they default to safe phrases. But this is your opportunity. You look at her calmly and say, I want to do this again. I appreciate how natural tonight felt. And then you stop talking. Silence, when you are grounded, is powerful. Silence communicates confidence. Now I want to address something many of you may be feeling. What if she doesn't respond the way I hope? Good. That means you're being real. Rejection is not a signal of inadequacy. It's a signal of misalignment. And clarity speeds up alignment. When you speak clearly, you filter quickly. The right woman leans in, the wrong one fades out. And that's efficiency. Especially in the second half of life, we do not have time for emotional ambiguity. Now let me give you a weekly practice plan. Week 1, practice I want in low-stakes environments. Week 2, practice I appreciate with friends, family, coworkers. Week 3, combine them in dating scenarios. This builds muscle memory because confidence is not personality, it's repetition. If you're still with me, comment the word clarity below. I want to see who is truly committed to growth. Let's talk about body language for a moment. When expressing desire, stand tall, slow your breathing, keep your chin level, hold eye contact 2 seconds longer than usual. When expressing appreciation, soften your gaze, lower your voice slightly, let your face relax. Your body must agree with your words. Women read energy first, language second. And here's something subtle but profound. When you consistently express what you want and what you appreciate, you create emotional predictability. Predictability builds trust. Trust builds intimacy. And intimacy builds long-term attraction. Not excitement, not drama, not games, depth. Now I'm going to say something bold. Many men lose attraction in long marriages not because passion disappears, but because expression disappears. They stop saying what they want. They stop saying what they appreciate. Silence replaces presence. If you're married or in a long-term relationship, try this tonight. I want more time, just the two of us. I appreciate everything you've done for this family. Watch what happens. Sometimes the spark doesn't need novelty. It needs acknowledgement. And if this is helping you see relationships differently, make sure you're subscribed. On this channel, we don't chase superficial tactics. We build emotional mastery. Let's come full circle. The reason these two words are so powerful is not because they are magical, it's because they represent ownership and awareness. Ownership of your desire, awareness of her value. That balance is maturity, and maturity is magnetic. You don't need louder charisma. You don't need flashier clothes. You don't need to compete with younger men. You need clarity. You need appreciation. You need congruence. And when those align, you become unforgettable. So here's my final question for you. Are you willing to risk being clear in order to be chosen? Because that is the real shift. If this message resonated, like the video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and tell me in the comments, which word will you start using more this week? I want or I appreciate. I'm Mary Smith, and this is Mindful Senior Living. And remember, you don't need to be perfect. You just need to be real. I'll see you next time.